Good afternoon, our Patriot family, and welcome to a special edition to the Fight for Patriotism. I'm your producer, host, and brother ▲ and with me is your brother and mustard seed hog. On today's episode, we will be discussing the benefits of using medicinal over being addicted to drugs or alcohol. But first, I'm going to open up the show with my introduction.
We need you now. This puppet show stays on because of you. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. Need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.
Hello, Hawk. Thank you for joining me today. How are you?
I'm doing all right, buddy. How are you doing? Right on. Good afternoon, everybody in chat. Welcome. We don't know how many of you there are, but welcome. So you guys know we're going to be talking about pot, right? Just so everybody knows. We're also going to be talking about a bunch of the bad stuff too. That's the other thing. Zach, when Zach asked me to come on and he wanted to talk about the medical benefits of cannabis, and then where sobriety comes involving cannabis. Okay. But in order to understand sobriety, first we have to understand all the other stuff. Okay. It all started back in, it all started back at the establishment of this world when the creator decided to connect the man and the plants. Okay. So the cannabis plant has an endocannabinoid system, and so does the human body. We have cannabinoid receptors throughout our entire body, which when we ingest, inhale, those are the three forms. Intake can be such as salves. Okay, like this here. This is a jar of salve. Okay, which you can rub on. Okay. Intake would be the ingestion, edibles, type of thing. Okay, and then inhale would be the kind that you can smoke. Okay. Now, the plant has been used for thousands and thousands of years. It's very, very apparent that, if you do a little bit of research, you find out that cannabis can be traced all the way back to, pretty much every race that's been on the planet. It was used for ceremonial purposes. It was used for its healing properties. Later on in the 1400s, 1500s, and the 1600s, actually as late as the 1700s, it was used as an inhalation to divert people away from tobacco. Instead of smoking pipe tobacco or smoking tobacco that with the nicotine, they would smoke hemp or they would smoke cannabis, according to whatever was growing around them. Back in those days, the plant grew wild. Unfortunately, in the actually, we won't go there yet. But every president, all the way up to 1880, grew and produced hemp or cannabis on their land. Abraham Lincoln was quoted in saying, "There's nothing more enjoyable than sitting down with my fellow foreign dignitaries on the back porch of the White House and smoking a bowl of hemp, a pipe full of hemp, I should say." And they were using the corncob pipes back then, or wooden pipes, depending upon, the craftsmanship, whoever was around at that time, and if we, so it was the idea that Lincoln understood that if we could just get along, we could put away all our cares and worries and woes and have a conversation, then we could come to a solution. And he had great success with that, dealing with the foreign dignitaries back in that time there before the Civil War, because of the fact that that's how he treated them. He sat down with them, he smoked a bowl with them, and he said, "Hey, let's have a conversation." So up until 1928, every medical bottle produced in the United States from the late 1700s all the way through until 1928 all had one common ingredient: 2 to 4% cannabis oil. Now, the rest of the bottle would be filled with whatever ingredient and everything, and mixed with it accordingly. But their base was all. You have to ask yourself, why would they use the cannabis oil in order to, to make all this stuff? Well, the thing is that with the cannabis oil, you automatically dealt with nausea. You'd automatically dealt with vomiting. And in a lot of cases, it was the immediate alleviating of the pain. Then the doctor could go to work, right? It was the idea of get your brain out of the way so that your body can heal itself. And the problem is that the pharmaceutical industry discovered, and I should say Rockefeller discovered coca and opium, and they had been actually following. They were actually the Rockefellers were originally involved with the original opium trade from China back during the big gold discoveries, during the big gold rush. Rockefeller was responsible for all the opium that was delivered to all these camps and things like that. They were deeply involved. They had a big relationship with China, and then it came to the point where cannabis was the only ingredient that was being used by the manufacturers of medicine back then. That was a direct competition. Opiates were addictive. Cannabis was not. They wanted people to have to go back to laudanum, and that was the big liquid drug back then. Laudanum, which was opium along with quite a few other things. It was the only product that was sold that did not have cannabis oil in it. Now. when Rockefeller's recipe first came out for the laudanum and a few other things, they were actually what were called those guys who drove around in the wagons that sold the miracle water kind of thing. You know, you drink this and you're cured. You know, it'll take all your pains away. It'll take away zits. It'll take away, you know, and that's basically how, you know, how it worked. So they were the con men of medicine back then. You know, they were just getting people high on opium, snake oil. There you go. Thank you. Snake oil salesman. You know, where cannabis oil had already been used for thousands of years. The oil that was used for the anointing of the first two or of the first kings of Israel were made from, guess what? Cannabis plants. That's right. The oil that was poured upon King Saul's head and then poured onto King David's head, and every anointed king since that day was made with cannabis oil. Okay. So basically, it was like having the devil working to get rid of what God provided and manipulating and using the addictive properties of opiates from 1928 on. That's why there was such a big battle between Henry Ford and this is the thing. We just watched a video the other day, Zach, on the during the prayer-a-thon in regards to Henry Ford, the evil side. They called it the evil side of Henry Ford. That this guy wrote a book about. Well, I see. This is the thing is that I see the exact opposite of that. Rockefeller took control of the medical industry in the United States, taking things out of the original medical journals and everything in order to facilitate the ability to addict people to every type of drug possible. So with the prohibition of cannabis, not only did he take over the medical industry, but he also gave the oil companies, which he's deeply involved with, a firm foothold against guys like Henry Ford. So Henry Ford designed a truck back in 1928. There were a couple of them that were actually released in, I believe, in 1930 something. But it was entirely built out of hemp, indestructible. They did crash tests and everything with steel on one car and the hemp body on another car. They crashed multiples, and the only one that was destroyed each time was the steel one. Steel folded. It folded in. So, you know, you know, between that and the motor that he designed that was capable of burning the hemp biofuel, he could have cornered the market, and we would have actually had absolutely no need to pull up black gold. There would, you know, so when I look at the oil, I look at that as the blood of the earth. That's what keeps the plates moving. It keeps things shifting underground, you know. And when you take all that out, then what happens is you got those tectonic plates that are grinding against each other, creating earthquakes. Right? Because we've been stealing the blood of the earth for years, you know. Or in my own mind, if we are actually a spaceship that came here from another galaxy and we're just waiting to refuel, then we've been sucking the fuel out of our own damn ship, and we ain't flying nowhere anytime soon. You know what I'm saying? You know, so it's just a thought that runs through my mind sometimes, like that we're, you know, that our earth is not round. It's actually shaped like an ice cream cone, and the cone is pointed at the sun, and it's trying to refuel. Once it refuels, we're going to take off. We're going to go someplace else. Go ahead, Zach.
Honestly, the reason why I'm turning to medicinal rather than using alcohol or drugs is because I have experience with getting hurt by people who used drugs or alcohol. My birth mother used alcohol when I was younger, between the ages of 1 and 4, and then last year I fell into depression because I had somebody in my life who was using and I didn't know until I was getting used for my happiness. That's why 3 weeks ago, last Friday, I cut out all alcohol, evil, and just started using medicinal edibles.
You know, that's a good reason to do that. It's through the manipulation of medicine, we've seen the destruction of our families, the destruction of our communities. Until pharmacopoeia came along, people didn't get sick like this. And people didn't treat their families like this. It was when opiates and things like that first came in, it started destroying the American family back in the 1800s during the gold rush, and it filtered from the gold rush into the streets. And then of course you had the mob involved, and they were pushing every type of narcotic that there is too. But the thing is those narcotics that they use are no different than the narcotics that these doctors are giving everybody, it's like, I have a lot of friends out here. I have quite a few friends that are amputees, deal with phantom pain and such. They take my salve and they rub it on, and the phantom pain goes away. I have friends who have, severe arthritis. They take this salve, they rub it on wherever the arthritis is, and they got their hands back. They got their feet back. They got their backs back, back injuries from car accidents and things like that. That's what this stuff does, and the thing is they didn't have to get high to do it. And that's the biggest thing, is that there becomes after you're using something for so long, what was an enjoyable high becomes an enjoyable hate. Okay. That hate that drives you because of its addiction. It's basically like saying, listen, the drug's not actually what's addictive. It's the hate surrounding it that is addictive, and that demon is what continuously pushes you back to your addiction. I understand the addictive properties of cocaine. I understand the addictive properties of heroin and morphine and things like that. I totally get that. I see the addictive properties with opiates, but it has to do with the person connected to that drug as much as it is the drug. Okay. Alcohol, prime example. Alcohol in moderation can actually be good. It's like they say, for a pregnant woman, to have a glass of wine is not a bad thing. But however, down in a bottle of whiskey is not the way to go. To spend every night out in the bar is not the way to have a baby. It's just not, if you're depleting on your personal system, then your child is going to suffer from the depletion of your liver, from your kidneys, from your stomach and everything else. And then at the same time could also receive alcohol poisoning, no different than a baby being born that was, the mother was addicted to crack, to be born with an addiction like that, it's preposterous. But at the same time, it happens, So we actually have the effective ability to say, okay, listen, I'm going to leave pharmaceuticals alone, and I'm going to go with what is raw and natural that God put on this planet. Now, the opium plant in its natural form can actually be a great medicine, but it's the processing that they're doing to it that is actually creating the addiction, because there's no control over the dosing. Go ahead, Zach.
And that's why I want the southern borders shut down, because there's too many drugs coming in, thanks to mostly the government. And that's why I'm tired of people getting addicted. Addiction doesn't do anything but ruin lives.
Well, here's a prime example for you, because that southern border is open. The hemp and cannabis in the United States has gone from like $2,000 a pound to $100 a pound. So it's so affordable right now on the street. It's extremely affordable. Fentanyl. That's another one. That fentanyl is that's deadly, and that's produced in China. And there was a bust not too long ago where there was enough fentanyl to kill every single American 3 times over or 4 times over. There was enough for every single person in America. I think they said it was like a $6 billion bust. When they got that, and that's just that's at the dealer's price. Never mind at the street value. If you look at the street value, it's probably 10 times that. So it'd be around $60 billion. Yeah. Zach's a thinking. You can tell. Once he goes to town at typing, he's like, "Oh yeah, I got something for you. I got something for you, pal. You just give me a second." Stop laughing. Keep typing. Correct, Wizard. That is not the same. The fentanyl that is on the street is not the same fentanyl that is used in the hospitals. And this is the thing is that, I've seen a lot of people, that have gone in for like surgeries in the hospital and stuff like that. And they give them these fentanyl patches to bring them home, and they get to bring a few home with them for like a week. They're fine. But after that, I see them jonesing like it's actually worse than watching a heroin addict standing out on the corner trying to get enough money together to get it back. I'm not kidding. It's just a total change of personality. It's like they're sucking a part of your soul away. And it's crazy. Go ahead. Oh, he's still typing. Okay. You can. He's thinking. You can see it. He's like, I got this. I got this. We need to get him one of those things from that movie Brainstorm where it's like he thinks it and it automatically just comes up on the screen. Wouldn't that be cool? Or like that lady who did the little hologram and turned it into a big hologram and spoke Japanese, and it's all works on thought instead of voice control. So all he'd have to do is think it, and his little hologram would actually be saying it. That'd be kind of cool. You ready? Go ahead.
If people stop using and get back to reality, the world would be more happy.
Yeah, I think it, so much animosity, and that's a lot of families break up because of stuff like this. I see parents losing their children because of this. I see kids dropping out of college because of this. It affects every walk of life. And the thing is that, it boils down to the addiction. What's great is, and you got guys who are actually here on YouTube that are actually fighting for sobriety, that are fighting for it, that are helping to push people like ▏ Monty, from the Full Monty, a bunch. There's a bunch of them, that and then watching you go from doing margaritas on the weekend to having great conversations and doing a gummy. That's a huge difference. Sure, when the gummy really kicks in, you got to go to bed. I get that. But the thing is you've gotten the best rest forever, from using cannabis and getting away from the alcohol. So, and that's a big thing. That's a big thing, because when you can, when you don't have full muscular control, and things are restricted, and muscles are constantly tense and tight and everything, you don't really sleep, because when you roll over, you feel like you're going to break, with the gummies, it's that makes it so that that while you're going into your rest mode, your muscles are loosening up. You're getting freedom from the muscles, and that's what you want. I've watched people, with Parkinson's. I've watched people with all different types of muscle twitch type abilities that have been tied up because of the fact of all these things that the doctors are pushing in. And as soon as they got away from what the doctors, had done, and gone to maybe eating edible, or maybe taking a couple of hits off a joint, or, it's, all these different things, to be able to see them be able to fully interact, to be able to activate vocal cords that they weren't able to activate while their muscles were in contortion. I see a bright future for what cannabis is capable of doing for our communities. But at the same time, I also see the harmful side of it too, where it's just over abused, where the advantage of, the ability to stay high, it's, well, the problem with, staying high is that, it's an alternate reality, folks. And when you get wrapped into that world, and you're always looking to get back into it. And that is an addiction, so it's like the dabs. Okay. I see a lot of people who, it's, oh yeah, I'm gonna run in and do a dab, or I'm staying in and dabbing tonight, and they'll show me a container, actually, do I have one of them containers, a container like this size, that's this size here, this little rubber thing, and it'll be full, now for me to use this, it's just a rubber, sealed rubber thing, and it's about a half an inch thick, actually almost an inch, but it'll be full, when they show it to me, but by the time they're done, it's completely empty. Do you know how much pot it takes to fill one of these with dab material? About 3 times the size of that. So there's probably 2 ounces in this. it would take 6 ounces to fill this with really good dab material. Now, not to say that I've never tried one, okay, because I have. Come on, Gabriel, go. Come on. I can't have all of you underneath the desk, okay? Your sister's underneath there because you guys keep biting her paw. So leave her alone. Sorry. I'll take a little itty bitty bit of it and I'll put it on top of a bud on my pipe. And okay, so a dab. The dab material is it is cannabis product that there is some type of gas pushed through in order to extract all of what's in the bud. So when they do that, they generally use a medical grade butane or propane or CO2. And basically what they're doing is they're extracting this super high concentrate, so in bud form it could be 16% THC, but in dab form it could be around 80 to 90%. Okay, so yeah, it's basically a piece of super concentrated THC. And so I'll take a little itty bitty tiny ball and I'll drop it on top of a bud and I'll smoke through the bud, so it'll melt down onto the bud. But other than that, I don't touch it because of the fact of it. To me, it is highly addictive. It is something that once you reach that peak high, you want to get back there again and again and again and again. And it's like you could be on this forever journey trying to get back to that first place that you were ever at. Again, it boils down to the addiction of the person, the addictability of the individual. So, I hear people have a conversation. They'll say, I'm prone to be addictive, when I use anything. And that's somebody being honest and stating, yes, it doesn't matter what it is. I could do a line of Coke and boom, I'm addicted to Coke. I could do a shot of heroin and I'm forever addicted to heroin. I could smell a fart and become addicted to smelling farts. Okay. It's kind of weird, but there are some people who get addicted to everything. It's, you're killing me, big boy. How about we turn that off? Okay. Well, does that help? Okay. Try and give you some room here. I'll move my feet over. Hey, don't be yelling at me. Liberty hurt her paw, and all the dogs are like picking on her because of her paw, but they keep going after the paw. So she's under my chair right now, and it's frustrating because Gabriel just loves her, and yeah. Yes, that could be Jim says that could be a deadly addiction. Yes, smelly farts could be a deadly addiction. It's but it's just to understand the extent that somebody would go, in order to get back to that pinnacle point again. It's like a prime example. The first time that I drank peyote tea, I remembered nothing for 3 days. But everybody else recorded it, so it really didn't matter. But it's like when I watched that back, I was like, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe no, there's no way I did that. And they were like, well, the reason is because your inhibitions, knock it off. Because your inhibitions are taken away. Liberty, go on. Enough. Knock it off. Yeah, they always got to do this while I'm trying to do a show. They're like, focus on me. Focus on me. I'm gonna put my foot up your wazoo. You don't knock it off. Give me a second here, guys. I'll be right with you. Go on, get out of there.
I relax so much when I have an edible, and it helps my mind open up more. See, I sleep better. I'm more happy, more involved in conversations, and I'm more caring about people. I really believe this change is the best for me.
Ha! That's what you do. That's how you fix it. You trick them into thinking that you're going outside. They run outside. You close the door real fast. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Wild Dragon. You know, that's a valid point right there. From 21 pills a day to just cannabis. Okay. Now I was taking phenobarbital for the seizures. And it was actually, it was messing with my mind big time. And I was still having seizures. So it's like what's going on today, but getting that, right? You're getting that, but guess what? You're still getting. You're getting the and it's, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, folks? I'm not going to for saying the wrong thing. You know, so it's the exact same thing. You know, you're going to one extent to get rid of something, but if it's not going away, then it's not a cure. You know, with the phenobarbital, the one thing I noticed the most was the headaches that I was getting. You know, and when I switched over to just using cannabis oil, it was 2 days, 2 days of using, and everybody noticed, hey, you haven't had a seizure today. And I was like, no. And I was actually very alert. Day 3 comes along. You know, doing the exact same dosage in the morning. No seizure today. No, I'm good. You know, 3 days later, I'm moving into an apartment, carrying boxes and everything else. No pains, no seizures. And this just continued on and on and on. And I was like, wow, this stuff really works. This stuff really works. Then I learned about RSO, Rick Simpson's oil, you know, to deal with them. And I started making an extract called RSO. And with the Rick Simpson's oil, I went, you know, basically one dosage took care of me for 3 days. So I could do a 1/4 gram to a 1/2 gram on Monday, and I didn't need to take another one until Wednesday night or Thursday morning. You know, and no headaches. I was gaining weight. Everything was coming back to me. And, you know, I was getting hungry again. I had absolutely no appetite. I was wasting away, you know. And, you know, through the miracle of this plant that our creator put on this earth for us to use, just going in its natural form was often more than enough, you know. The Rick Simpson's oil, that's for taking and going after things on a more extreme level. You know, I can honestly state I have a 98% success rate for my farm with curing cancer through RSO. Now, this is the big thing that I want you to understand, that 2% that we didn't get, got it, but never took it. So they went home with the capsules, but when they got home, they went right back to their everyday life and didn't use the medicine. So from 1928 to 1979, when the raid on the University of Mississippi went on with the big burglary and all that, the federal government did basically 70 years of straight up cannabis research. Okay. Both hemp and medicinal strength cannabis. Okay. Their federal marijuana program is still going on today. There are 2 patients left from the original 13 that are still alive today. One lady's down in Florida. She actually walks around with her can of joints that the government sends her every month. She walks around with a big metal can about this big. Okay. That's got 2 tiers of joints in it. And she just, boom. She walks around with her can, she gets 200 joints a month. That's basically 6 joints a day. I don't even smoke 6 joints a day, but she does. She says, I smoke it exactly as they prescribed it. Oh, it's funny. After and I shouldn't call it a raid on the University of Mississippi. It was a burglary. And it was it boiled down to 149 strains of cannabis that the government had developed were stolen and repopulated throughout the United States. So the federal government was really pissed off. And that's when they really started coming down on marijuana. Before that, they were just coming down on people for hemp because it was a textile. It's basically a textile competition. They knew that if people were producing hemp in the United States, they could outproduce what black oil does. They could design motors that burn cleaner, that actually don't put off. Maybe the residue of a smell of a joint as people drive by, it'd be about it. You wouldn't be covered with smog. They'd be shooting cannabis out their tailpipes, And the thing is that if you look at the entirety of the medical benefits, surrounding cannabis, you're looking. Nausea, vomiting is number 1. Stimulates appetite and weight. For AIDS patients, cancer patients, anorexic and nervosa patients, decreases spasticity associated with multiple sclerosis. Could help with amyotrophic lateral, I think it's sclerosis, the liver, and it can cure ALS. Okay, disease, relieves all symptoms associated with spinal cord injuries in most patients. Absolutely helps with epilepsy. We have a 90% success rate in alleviating chronic pain. Treats bladder pain syndrome. So, that's, also known as IBS, reduces headaches and migraines. It helps with osteoarthritis and helps with the preventing of cartilage breakdown, rebuilds and restabilizes, those rheumatoid arthritis pain and stops its progress. Fibromyalgia, osteoporosis, degenerative disc disease, dystonia, and that's neurological. Okay. Can weaken the progression of Huntington's disease. Helps with movement disorders associated with Parkinson's disease and movement disorders caused by the use of its traditional medicines. because people end up getting more injuries due to the medicine that they're taking than they are from the actual illness that they have. Helps with Tourette's syndrome. Okay, helps with glaucoma. Helps with bronchial dilator in asthma patients. It lowers arterial blood pressure in patients with hypertension. Reduces anxiety. Is the most effective antidepressant on the planet. Helps with sleep disorders, effectively improving sleep quality. Help to eliminate nightmares associated to our PTSD. Can be used to control the abuse of harmful drugs. Okay, when I think about harmful drugs, I think of meth, I think of cocaine, I think of heroin, I think of alcohol. And it's funny. I bet, Zachary, when you do a gummy, you get the munchies, but you sure as hell don't want a beer or a drink. You're like, I'm feeling fine. I don't need to have something to drink. Go ahead.
Hawk, I met you a year ago next April, and you have inspired me since December to take medicinal, and honestly I quit alcohol because I want you guys to be better, be inspired to change your life so you guys can be happier, love more, and have a longer life.
Well, this is the thing is, I'm glad you stopped using alcohol because your body is already in a defunct mode, and the alcohol just makes it worse. It's when the time comes for our Lord and Savior to come back, I want to be able to walk up to you and say, dunk onto your head and boom, you're healed. Okay. But there's going to be some things that when you get that alcohol in there, it's screwing up your liver and your kidneys and your stomach and everything else. He's going to be saying, I don't know if I want to bunk you. Instead of turning to me and turning to what my father put on this earth, you turn to this instead, I want to be right, and I want to be right in the right place, and the thing is alcohol is as addictive as those other drugs. People don't realize it until it's too late. They don't realize it until it's too late. And at that point then they surrender to what? They surrender to their addiction. They let the addiction take control of everything, And that's why guys like Jeff Riddle and Monty and the others who do, sobriety chats here on the internet are so important, because at least they're willing to start the conversation, and people need to understand that cannabis is not a drug. It was labeled as one by the U.S. government strictly to remove Henry Ford from being able to compete against them in 2 different markets, actually 3 different markets, because number one, his car battled a steel car and the steel folded, but his car did not. Okay. His fuel burned cleaner than any gasoline that had ever been produced in the United States. And he built a motor that was designed to do that. Nobody else was able to do that at that time, and then on the medical side of it, Rockefeller made out. So did the world banks, so did the central banking system. They all made dope because of this. Big bucks. But it's for them, it was an amusement to watch you suffer through it. That's what it all boils down to. These people get off. That's their addiction. They get off on watching you suffer. That is their pure joy. Okay. So if you take that away from them by going to something that the Creator put on this planet, and told us to use, because he said that all things that are seed bearing are yours, except for this one tree. And it wasn't a pot plant that made Eve, do what she did. It wasn't a pot plant. Yep. But this is also another thing that I want to talk about too, is that it's not just the CBD. That's the one thing that everybody needs to get past, because that CBD is bullcrap. It's bullcrap that everybody attributes all this goodness and everything to just CBD. No, you want to kill cancer, you need CBD and THC to get your best pain relief long term, and not just CBD affects the brain. It affects the brain. Is that healing you? No. Okay. So cancer patients say to me, well, why do I got to take this RSO? Okay. When you inhale a joint or a bowl or a vaporizer, okay, what happens is your body, all the receptors in your body are activated. Okay. So let's think of your lungs as a big switchboard. Remember the old black and white movies, and the lady sitting in the stool, and she got she was the switchboard lady. You make a phone call, and okay, so you're making a phone call, okay, and your board starts lighting up because you inhaled. Okay, well, that board is connected to your brain, which is then connected to the rest of your endoskeleton. Okay, and so basically, the operator grabbed that wire, plug it into that lit up hole. Okay. When she plugs that in, it sends a signal to the brain, pain in this area, and then they flip off the switch. Well, the problem is that's not healing you. It's just turning off the pain for the moment. So then you got to go back and you got to smoke again in a little bit. And then in a little bit, you got to go back and smoke again. And then in a little bit, you got to go back and smoke again. Well, hell with that. Throw it all together, make a bunch of brownies, and then you're pain-free for the whole damn day. From one brownie out of that pan of brownies that you did. And believe me, I've seen some of these guys in the way that they eat their brownies. Okay. I watched Jeremy the other night. He had a brownie about this big, and he cut off just a little bitty corner off of that. And he said, that's all I need. That's all I need. And 40 minutes after he ate that, he said, Zach, can you take over the stream? Because I got to go to bed now. So he probably could have cut that in half. Go ahead, Zach.
I'm taking THC honestly. My gummies has 10 milligrams of THC, and then my daytime gummies has 10 milligrams of CBG.
Yep. And that's what you want. You want to be productive during the daytime, but you need to go into a relaxed mode at nighttime. Your body heals when you're relaxed. People say to me that, I do the RSO, but I sleep a lot. Yeah, duh. Your best healing comes when you're asleep. And if your brain is running at 100 miles an hour, then that's stress on the body, stress on the muscles, stress on the blood, stress on everything, right? The plant needs you out of the way so that it can do the work. So it knocks you out. And when you wake up, you feel better, don't you? Because you got out of the way, And the problem with the paranoia, this is thing. Paranoia comes because they didn't finish it. They did not grow the plant properly. They did not finish the growth cycle of that plant. The life cycle of that plant was not finished properly. And on top of it, a lot of times it's not cured. It's like when you go into a dispensary and buy it, it's because those companies that are growing it like that, they're growing it as fast as they can, to produce it as fast as they can, to get it into the market as fast as they can, There's no cure process or anything like that. Anytime, and Jess will testify to this. Anytime they go to one of the dispensaries and they grab a bottle of weed for me, you know, because they want me to try this or they want me to try that. As soon as it gets here, I throw it into a jar and I leave it in that jar for about 15 days before I even smoke the first bud of it. Okay. And the reason that I do that is because I want the chlorophyll out of that bud. Okay. That's that nasty lingering taste that's like on the roof of your mouth, kind of like a metallic. It's, you know, kind of, you feel like you've been sucking on a penny for an hour, you know, and it goes down onto the back of your throat too. And what I found was that anytime I smoked anything that had the chlorophyll still in it, I would get major bronchial problems, my major sore throat and stuff like that. And I began to recognize what was finished and what was not. Now, when people talk to me about, you know, because, you know, it's, we educate people on how to grow their plants and everything. I get a lot of guys, they'll call me up, when they're in the last 3 weeks of the growth cycle, you know, cause they want to finish it properly, you know, and part of it is, you know, watching the development of the trichomes at the same time of watching the color of the hairs, at the same time of making sure that it's completely finished, you know. So it's, you know, so they'll send me pictures of their trichomes, and I'll analyze them there, you know, or I'll look at them here, and I'm able to help them judge as to when to take down the plant. Now, the first thing that they have to do is, after when they take it down, is take a bunch of the plant, you know, a bunch of the leaves and stuff off of there. And then they can either hang it up to dry, or they can put it into, snip everything off and put it into a net, you know. And you get the full dry process, and then you do a full cure process. That's the difference between when you walk into a shop and they charge $30 for this bud, but then there's a bud above it that they're charging like $60 or $70 for. Okay. Well, the reason they're charging $60 to $70 for that is because that was done right. That was, you know, that was done, this was done properly. This was dried properly. It was cured properly before it even hit the market. So that automatically increases the value of that medicine, you know. And the thing is if you're going to a dispensary and you're buying an ounce or something like that, sure, keep a bud or two out to smoke on for a couple of days, but throw it right into a jar. Throw it right into a jar. Don't waste any time. Throw it right into a jar. And what will happen is when you go to burp the jar in the morning, the next morning, when you open that jar, smell it right off the bat, and you'll smell that gas escaping. Inhalation of that gas can create anxiety, can create paranoia, can create really, really bad headaches. And if you end up eating a bud like that and it's still got chlorophyll in it, it can actually make you sick. You know, because I know people, they'll open up, you know, they'll open up a package from the dispensary and they'll just pull it right out and they'll grab a bud and pop it right in their mouth. They just actually eat the weed, you know. But the problem is that when you do that, you don't know if it was done. You don't know if it was, if you know, if they finished it right. The other thing you have to be careful. The other thing you have to be careful of is, you know, pesticides, miticides, fungicides. Those are deadly. You know, ▼20, the largest known cause for popcorn lung in the United States. And it was people buying buds from your local dealer, guy down the road or whatever. He's buying it from a guy who's just growing a bunch in his backyard, who's willing to do everything necessary in order to get it to a sellable rate, you know. And the problem is they'll spray anything on it. They don't care, you know. They don't care about what you're, what you're going to inhale. They only care about the money that is going to go into their pocket. And the thing is the big recreational grows, they're absolutely the exact same thing as that street dealer. Absolutely no different. They don't care what you think. They don't care what you say. As long as you're buying their product and your money's going into their pocket, they could give two shits less. I'm sorry, it's just a fact. Hey, Steel and Tree. The objective is understanding cannabis as a medicine, or in fact, using cannabis as a means of keeping your sobriety. Because if you can make a cannabis salve and rub it onto your pain so that you're not taking that opiate anymore, you're doing damn good. You're doing damn good. And you have a chance of not only getting the pain relief, but direct healing going on. Salve is a rub and it absorbs all the way in, so it's like when you pop a pill, and it goes in there. Well, not only do you want it to get rid of the illness, but you want it to fix anything that's broken in there, right? Well, I hate to tell you that the only thing that I know of that actually does that goes in and fixes things is cannabis. That's not true. That's not true. I've been growing for over 18 years, so they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They've never been to my farm because we are all organic. I use all raw nutrients, everything, all the way down the line. I use fresh kelp, so, yeah. Right on, brother. Yeah, it's been years since I've had a drink. Years and years and years. And I just walked away from it. I just walked away from alcohol. I had to. It was just, I saw what it was capable of doing, and it just wasn't worth it. Just wasn't worth it. The alcohol wasn't worth it. Wasn't worth me missing any part of my life. And, and I'm glad of it. I didn't go to AA meetings or anything like that. I just walked away from it, but again, that's where it's in. A lot of it is internal as to those who have that highly addictive personality, type thing. It's, where they can be addicted to anything that they try. I know people who are flipping addicted to aspirin. I'm like, why don't you chill out with those things? They're going to eat your whole stomach. And, and it's like, oh, but I'll be fine. Doc said I should take one every day. So I just go ahead. How many of those do you take a day? Oh, about half the bottle every day. Yeah. I don't think I want to be at your funeral file. The damage that you're going to do, Yeah, pesticides, miticides, fungicides. Now, Eagle 20, that's a fungicide. They spray that on plants in order to stop them from being able to get moldy and stuff like that. And this is the real bad thing, is they use it on fruits and vegetables too, not just on pot. The thing is that the Eagle 20, when you put flame to it, becomes a carcinogen gas. So basically, you're inhaling cyanide. And the thing that affects most is the lungs. It does severe damage to the inside of the lungs, which creates what's called popcorn lung. It's pretty devastating. It's pretty devastating. And the thing is when they're making dabs and stuff like that with that same bud that had that carcinogen on it, think about the concentration of the carcinogen instead of the cannabis. And that, that in itself can create an addiction. So it's pretty messed up. So continuing to go through our list here, things that it helps with. Yes, neem oil. I do use neem oil periodically during the beginning stages of a plant in order to ensure that they can withstand anything coming in the future. So let's see. I left off on the it's a potent antipsychotic. Okay, so now this is where CBD makes a difference from THC. People who suffer from any type of schizophrenia should not use THC products. Let me say that again. People who suffer from psychotic or schizophrenia should not use THC, should just stick to CBD. CBD actually can turn off or can work as an antipsychotic and symptoms of the schizophrenia. THC can actually alter the person to a point where they take on a different personality. Okay, so that is the only thing that I see on that. Alzheimer's disease and dementia. Okay, old people who take CBD capsules got pretty clear minds. Okay, because what does CBD focus on? The mind, the switches, the clarity. Okay, so CBD is great for that. THC is they're working on doing more research onto the THC, low levels of THC combined with that. Right now, they're doing testing with that. It helps with inflammatory skin diseases. So I have this buddy. He's got this psoriasis, I believe it's called. Comes in with this big red blotches on his arm. Okay. And he says they bleed and they hurt. I gave him a jar of my salve. 3 days later, he calls me up after sending me a picture of his arm. His arm is no longer red and inflamed and everything else. It looks like mine. It looks back to normal. So anytime he has that flare up, boom, that goes on, and he hasn't called me in 2 years because he hasn't run out yet. I actually called him and said, "Why haven't you called me?" He says, "Oh, because I still got some." I'm like, "I'm your friend. You can friggin' just call me because I'm your friend." He's like, "Oh, it's not like that. It's fine. Okay. I get it." You know. So I said it can help with irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory, and this is again where THC and CBD combined can actually be an asset. So symptoms of inflammatory bowel diseases, meaning that certain areas have swollen. It's not necessarily an irritable bowel syndrome. It is an inflammation due to, something you ate could trigger an inflammation. Something that you drank could create an inflammation. And heat or extreme cold can cause inflammation as well. So it works on that. Bert Gummer, what he says, what state is Hawk in? I'm in the state of confusion, brother. I'm in the state of confusion. I'm in Oregon. I'm sorry. So again, we can go to diseases of the liver. CBD induces the death of hepatic stellate cells, and THC comes in behind and cleans up the mess. So again, it's where the two parts work together as a flippin' team. Weight loss and obesity. Okay. this is people who suffer from AIDS or from HIV, cancer, anorexia, or nervosa. Okay, these are pretty heavy things that do. But THC and cannabinoid ratios, it should be 4-1. So THC 4, CBD 1. And when you turn that into a concentrate, that basically becomes a 50 to 25 or 20, and it's, it can give you a very, very high ratio, but that's where CBNs and CBGs come in, and that's the thing is breaking it down and understanding the entirety of the plant and understand what it's capable of doing. It is a great prevention of diabetes and diabetic flare-ups. There are a couple of things that happen. We grow a particular variety called White Widow, and it is the classic 1974 version of the White Widow. It deals with leveling of the blood sugars. It deals with the leveling of blood pressure. It deals with the leveling of cholesterol levels and helps to maintain and lose weight. And the thing is that it's where do we look at this? How do we understand this? And how do we understand that that they have classified something that is a plant and turned it into these things that they produce called a drug. A drug is a chemical compound. Cannabis is not a chemical compound. It is an organic compound. So they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Kills brain tumors. Okay. It inhibits tumor growth in breast cancers. It inhibits tumor growth in melanoma. It prevents bladder cancer. It kills leukemia cells. It is useful against lung cancer, and especially when it's a combination of THC and CBD. Pancreatic cancer, colon cancer, prostate cancer, stopping the spread of prostate cancer. And the biggest thing is, where prostate cancers are concerned, or ovarian or uterus, stuff down in the woman's vajayjay, the private area, right? Suppositories can be used in the front just as well as in the back. The idea is to get the medicine directly to the area that is infected. So I'm an asshole. So the suppositories obviously went in my, and yeah, 30 grams in 30 days. Went back to the doctor on day 45, and they said, it's gone. And I was like, yeah, I know. He said, well, when did you know? I said, I knew 15 days ago when I was going to the bathroom and it didn't hurt no more. I said, I knew it 30 days ago when I wasn't puking no more. And I wasn't feeling the pain no more. And I wasn't feeling like I had, the fat lady from the circus's fist up my wazoo. And he said, are you happy? I said, I felt that 15 days ago too. And he said, well, what? Sorry. He said, well, why didn't you call me? I said, because my appointment was in 15 days. And if I was still feeling better 15 days after I started feeling better, then I knew that it worked. It makes a huge difference. It's you make them, Angela. You make them at home. You make the RSO at home. You can get a rice cooker, or you can use a magic butter machine. I use what's called the green oil machine, and they and that's what that But they also have other kinds. You can do what was it? I'm trying to remember the exact words for it. You can alcohol still. You can produce it through that, and you can buy the encasements for the suppositories. You can buy those on Amazon, and then it's the idea of injecting the medicine into them, and then separating them from the outer casing, and then inserting. Generally we freeze them. We'll freeze them after we get it filled. Yep. And then you get up in the morning, you stick one up your butt. I know it just sounds funny, but you stick one up your butt, and you go back to bed for 20 or 30 minutes. And yes, you're gonna feel gooey for about 45 minutes to an hour. But the fact of the matter is if you're getting that medicine directly to the cancer, that cancer does not stand a chance in any way, shape, or form. I want to see people live. I want to see people enjoy a full life. I want them to experience the best that the Creator has to offer us on this planet. And we don't get to see that if we're suffering and if we're in pain, or we're dealing with these cancers, or we're dying because of them. Enough is enough. Go ahead, Zach.
And C, I also quit alcohol because I want my panels at night to be filled with inspired people who want to discuss topics that inspire change. I want people who come into my streams to feel like they are wanted, feel like we won't make them go back to not going back to not being sober.
Yeah, what he said. Yeah, well, I make them when I need them. I don't make them like regularly, Yvonne. I make the RSO on a regular basis, but most people they'll come and get the RSO for me, and then they'll order the suppositories from Amazon, and they just inject it into the suppository. So it's the idea that the Creator gave us the best tools in the world to work with. The problem is man forgot how to use them. And then after they forgot how to use them, they made sure the ones that remembered made sure that they hid it from you and kept it from you and did everything they could to keep you away from it. And now people's eyes are opening and they're beginning to see and understand the complexity in which, they have made the pharmaceutical industry and the simplicity in what a simple, cannabis plant can do. Well, you don't have to. I make RSO and give it away, Miss Mindersie. I make my money from selling plants. So anything that we produce in Budweiser, we turn it into RSO or salve and stuff like that, and we give that away. However, you do have to come to Oregon to get it. I won't ship it to anybody. I won't take that risk. I won't risk my license. Yep. Well, this is the thing is if you think about who ran Big Pharma, that was Rockefeller, who destroyed the medical industry as we know it in the 1920s, Rockefeller, and he rebuilt it in his own image. Okay. And guess who had the plan to dumb down America? Rockefeller. Didn't somebody just do a show about his book about how to take control of a country? There was what the hell was that? It was like the Rockefeller agenda or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was called. I wish John Dunning was here. He'd know exactly what I'm talking about. But Rockefeller, published something back in the 1920s. They basically talked about exactly what we're going through today, about taking over the world. Basically, he's not going to win. I'm not Henry Ford. I'm not a pussy. I'll punch him in his face. Mama said, knock you out. Yeah, Mama said, knock you out. Absolutely. And it's, and the thing is, it's like watching, I periodically I will get stoned off my ass just for the shits and giggles of it, and sit down. And you want to know what I watch? I watch Reefer Madness. And I wonder exactly when I'm going to go that crazy. I'm like, I'm waiting for it. Come on. I'm 18 years into this. I've got to be going crazy by now. And it just hasn't happened. It just hasn't happened. When I was drinking, I was a fat stripper, and now I use cannabis, and I'm a for radio, but hey, I'm slimmed up. I'm, I'm losing my mind, Zach. So, obsessive compulsive disorders. Oh, here we go. Rockefeller lockstep. That's it. Thank you, John. There you go. Lockstep. You guys got to read that. Grab that link. Every single one of you. Copy that link and save that link. Absolutely. Save that, because you can download that right on your computer. And then when people come on your door, hey, tell me what the hell is going on in this crazy world. And you come in and you sit down and you hand it to them and say, here, read this. This is your future. If you don't wake up now, and this is the drugs, the alcohol, and the cannabis. That is one vicious cycle. Our government has been using cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, and everything else against its own population for generations. They knew exactly what they were doing. Breaking you down, tearing you apart, tearing apart your families, tearing apart your communities, all for their greed. And it's kind of funny, it's, you get a guy like me who grows some weed and shares it with people that need it. And I see the world in a different light. It has absolutely nothing to do with money. If I wanted to be a millionaire, I'd have gone to work at those recreational farms. I had multiple recreational farms here in Oregon call me and said, dude, we'd love for you to come in and be our master grower. This is what we'd offer you. And they offered me a shitload of money, and I turned them down because their agenda and my agenda don't line up. It's not about money. There's more value in the life. And that's what God wants us to see, is the value in the life, not the value in the dollar, not the value in the silver, not the value in the gold. He wants us to see the value in the life, the value in what we ourselves offer each other. That's true inspiration. That's true inspiration. That's understanding that something bigger than ourselves gave us an option. It's like we're told we have a choice. We were born with freedom of choice. We get to choose between right and wrong. Well, I'm asking you to take a look at the choice between what alcohol and drugs do in comparison to what cannabis does. If some people, it's like, you look at, cocaine. You know, just look at cocaine by itself, okay? And the damage that it did between the beginning of the Vietnam War up until today. You know, because cocaine didn't stay just cocaine. Cocaine became crack. You know, they can never leave well enough alone. You know, opium has now become fentanyl. You know, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute here. Now, unfortunately, we have the dab situation going on, you know, with cannabis. But if they find a way to get rid of all those gases and make sure that it's an extremely clean product, then it's a great thing to use in small doses. But using it as a means to just be high 24 hours a day, that doesn't do anybody any good. It doesn't do you any good. You're not accomplishing it. What are you accomplishing? Absolutely nothing. Oh, I drew a good picture. Are you selling that picture? Is that picture going to put food on your table? Is it going to put clothes on your kid's back? Is it going to keep a roof over your head? No. You know, it's just too much. You know, it has to be a certain point where we as a people decide that, listen, pharmaceutical industry, you're done. You're done killing our brothers and sisters, our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents, and our children. You're done. We're not going to allow it anymore. We will find ways to beat you naturally, holistically, and with God. And that includes addiction. You know, addiction, we will defeat you. Why? Because God said that we can. We can overcome everything. We just have to put our trust in Him. We do that, we got it made. We got it made in the shade. Yep. My doctor administered it. Yep. And you have no idea how many times I see that, honestly, daily. I see that. Yes, my next backup channel is number 9. Yep. But we're on Zach's channel, and I didn't do anything to get him kicked off. So this time. Wait till next time. Yes. Thank you. I trust no man. I trust God. I put it in God's hands. You know, I remember praying a few years back. I said, Lord, if I'm in the wrong industry, tell me. Show me that I'm in the wrong industry. And He didn't. He didn't show me that I was in the wrong industry. If anything, He sent me more patience. You know, I had a lady. She called me up. She was from out of Oregon, and she was not a recreational user, but she had breast cancer, and she came down. She flew into Portland. She drove down from Portland, and she had never made contact with me, but she appeared at my gate, and she said, I saw you in a dream, and I had to come and meet you and talk with you. And when she left here, she left with 2 jars of salve and 6 things of RSO, and she beat her breast cancer. Instead of having to have both of her boobs cut off like the doctors had planned, she used the salve by rubbing it onto her boobs, and she used the RSO by mixing it with some food at night, and she beat it. She beat the cancer. And she did it with God's plant. You know, natural as can be. Yeah, well, it's not only that, Angela. What it is there a lot of people are afraid of the effects of the cannabis. And that's the thing is that, maybe it's not just going to work on the cancer that you're fighting. Maybe it's going to fix a couple other issues in your body too. It's like when they talk about the HC, the stuff that we make at home ourselves now, that liquid that we make from the peels and stuff. You know what I'm talking about, right? Okay. Not only does that have an effect on this cold and flu season, but what else does it get rid of? That's why they don't want you talking about things that are associated to the things that Donald Trump put out there. He said, well, what about ... And they said, oh, no, you can't do that. But they took a drug that the guy who runs the CDC created that failed the FDA testing, and they pushed it on every single hospital coast to coast, saying this is the medicine that you're going to treat people with. And every person that you treat with this, we're going to give you some money for. And then when they get so sick that they have to be put on a ventilator, then we're going to give you some more money. And then if you die, we're going to give you some more money. And, oh, hey, and if you change the coroner's report, we're going to give you some more money. I'm not kidding. Imagine a pot dealer saying that to you. Hey, come here, smoke some of this. You just start laughing because, it's never going to happen that way. Give me 1 second. What's up? All right, sorry about that. One of my gardeners is going home for the day. He's the one who got Matilda. He's taking Matilda home with him again. So he says, I brought Matilda in the house, and both of my dogs jumped down off the couch, and they were walking over to her, sniffing on her. He said, but the biggest male, he's like, he slept right next to her all night long. He used her butt as a pillow. She let him. So, so he's going home. Can you officiate in other states? What do you mean officiate? You mean, can I ship to other states? No. Can I marry people in other states? Is that what you mean by officiate? No, I can marry people. Yeah. I can officiate people from other states, but you have to get a local license in order to get married. So, hold on. What's that about mushrooms? Hang on. Wait a minute. Back up here. Somebody said something. Okay. Yes. There are actually a few types of mushrooms that in proper dosages can actually affect, it can affect the growth of tumors and actually reverse the cancer growth, so can actually, instead of metastasizing, to begin shrinking. And the fact that mushrooms are actually also used, because I'll tell you this right now, what you hear in here are mushroom capsules. I microdose daily. It helps me to deal with my PTSD. It's either that or the gun range next door would have me going ballistic. And yeah. No, I am a okay, you have an OLCC rec farm. No, I am a medical farm. And you okay, so you're an OLCC processor and a pet owner of a solvent hash, or part owner, I presume part owner, not a pet owner, of a solvent hash company here in Oregon. Right on, Bert. Yeah, I'm over in the Sheridan area. It was I was in the OLCC system for a while, and I reduced my patients so that I don't have to deal with them. I mean, I still see the patients, I just don't deal with them anymore. They never should have gotten their nose involved in the medical industry here in Oregon at all. That was part of the deal. That was the reason that we voted for what was written, and they went ahead and changed it. And actually, actually thinking about running to get involved in that, and actually repeal a lot of the damage that they did to the medical community. Because, as you know, a lot of the medical growers were doing it out of the kindness of their heart and out of their own pocket, and ended up losing because of the fact that that they want $450 a year and everything else, and it's and it's just like, it's not worth it. It's just really not worth it. The hassle that you have to go through. And the thing was before that, we had, Oregon was known as the most medically compassionate state in the world. And after they changed what that bill was written as, and they put in the OLCC to control the medical and everything too, at that point there, they totally destroyed medical here in Oregon. They destroyed it. It's like you can't do half as much to help your community as you used to be able to do. It's criminal. And it's all about the almighty dollar. They all should be jailed, honestly. But that's part of this big awakening, I think, too. Because as soon as they come out with a federal license, it ain't going to matter what the fuck the state says. And I will get involved in a federal bill to pass it nationwide instead of just state by state. Because I think that every person in America should be able to grow the plant in their yard themselves to be able to provide for their household exactly what they need, either in their yard or in their garage or whatever. The fact that your original claim to create prohibition was unconstitutional and illegal. And the laws that you're putting on there now are unlawful, unconstitutional, and should be deemed illegal. You're basically strong-arming your cannabis producers that could be, in fact, doing more to save as many lives as possible. I think that they attempt to bind our hands to stop us from being able to do that. But I'm not stopping. I'm not. Yeah, recreation doesn't take your pew away, and they actually shouldn't. They shouldn't be able to do that either, North Carolina girl. They should not be able to do that as well. That's your constitutional right to bear arms. I didn't see that, Bert. What do you know what that was? I did not see that. If you got a link for it, go ahead and drop it, and I will check it out. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. But North Carolina girl, the question is, can you grow your own? That's the thing, is that's what I'm trying to break this down as, is that we should be, every mom and pop should be able to, to be able to, have their own freaking bud stand out in front of their house if they want to have it, no different than a vegetable, having a vegetable cart out in front of your house or something like that, it's like, why would, again, it all boils down to restricting you, and it all restricts you because they need your money. They want your money. They don't need it. They want it. Criminal. Go ahead, Zach. I'm sorry.
See, this is exactly why I wanted Hawk to do this podcast with me. I want to give people correct information about medicinal, want people to learn more about being healthier.
Yep. Yeah, Miss Mindersu, yeah, that was one of the best things that Washington did. It was the same thing in Oregon. Here in Oregon, you can grow 4 plants. And there's no limit as to how big they can be. So just because I grow a couple of 18-footers that are capable of producing 10 to 12 pounds each, then I'm sorry, I'm not going to keep all that for myself. I'm going to give it to my patients. Those patients who used to have to spend almost $700 a year in order to get their medical cards, because they had to pay for the grower, and then the grower had to pay $450 to OLCC. It's crazy. But every household in America should be able to do that. You think about those people who are in states where there's absolutely no legal rights whatsoever, that they have children that have seizures that could be helped by cannabis oil. You think about the people who are dying from cancers in those states that could be, that literally could have their lives saved by this, instead of being pumped with poisons through the same pharmaceutical industry that's trying to kill Americans today. What they're doing today is just more blatant and in your face to what they've been doing behind your back for years. I would love to have a conversation with Donald Trump about this when he goes back into office. I would love to have a conversation with him about this. I'd come up with a plan to put every veteran that needed a job or needed a home off of the street and into a home. Learning a trade and a career that could sustain them for the rest of their lives and heal them. Absolutely. That's what I want to do with this property. I said this before. I want to put a bunch of tiny houses out here, have a big garden in the middle of it, dogs running around everywhere, have a big garden in the middle of it, and have them stay out here and learn everything from A to Z on growing cannabis, and then help them get jobs at any recreational farm or medical farm, according to their skills. California Health and Safety Code 11358. Okay, I got you. And search that on DuckDuckGo. Code section, California. Boom, boom, boom. Each person who plants, cultivates, harvests, dries, or processes cannabis and any they're part of, except otherwise provided by the law, shall be punished as follows. Each person under the age of 18 who plants, cultivates, each person at least 18 of age but less than 21. Okay. They're trying to keep it out of the hands of the teenagers. Oh yeah, it's all these things. You're going to be charged for water code relating to illegal diversion. Oh, okay, I see what that is. Okay. Oh, that's the kids growing it out in the woods. Okay, I'm talking about at your home, or in your basement. It's yeah. Absolutely, Brian. You're not in prison because you consume cannabis. Now, if you were drinking alcohol, okay, you'd be driven to kill them instead of love them. What's this? Please watch and research the citations yourselves. This is for, okay. Oh yeah. I'll watch that later. That looks like it's going to be pretty good. I will check that out though. Absolutely. Yeah. See, I like going on other people's streams because then I can copy and paste, but I can't copy and paste when I'm on my own. That's it. It's a pain in the butt. Go ahead, Zach.
I'm with you 100%, Hawk, and I'll have funding for this after I finish my projects.
It's understanding, I have so many friends who walked away from alcohol because they started using cannabis. I have so many friends who walked away from using opiates because they started using cannabis, in one form or another. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to sit down and smoke it. There are salves, there are tablets that you can take, capsules in the morning, RSO, things like that. And it's just the idea that, that so much life is being wasted in the medical field that it's ridiculous. People are dying in hospitals and shit and inpatient care, getting all these chemotherapies and radiations and everything else that they don't need. It's just I'm sick and tired of it. I want people to every person to have a chance at life. Every person, not just the people that I know and like. I want everybody to have, even if I don't like you, I'm still going to help you because you have the right to have the opportunity to try and live a fruitful life. I could go on about this for hours and hours and hours, but unfortunately we don't have that much time. Yeah, we could. But it's the idea that do some research, folks, and that list that I've been giving you of benefits of marijuana, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to, Zach, I'll put it in the private chat. You're going to have to copy it over for them though. Okay. That is 61 benefits of medical marijuana. Okay. And if you can go through those 61 and pick out 2 or 3 or 4 things on there that you go through that could be helpful or that could be helped with, with either THC or CBD or a combination of both. Okay. Then that's the plant for you. If you can't, well, then stick with the pharmaceuticals. All right. Be that way. But 61 benefits right there. Actually, I can open up a YouTube channel. Dang it. Or the YouTube. I can open up your channel and put it in there. Hang on. It's right there. It's got there we go. Put that over here and paste. Boom. There we go. And that's just a starting point. Okay, that really seriously, that is just a starting point. Look up. Let's see. I think it's. Let me get my glasses here. Okay, here's another one, and I'm gonna copy and paste this one. I'll put this in here too. This is probably one of the biggest medical directions that I could possibly send anybody to. This is Run from the Cure, the Rick Simpson story. Okay. And he talks about why he started making RSO, how he started making it, and then you'll see what happened to him because he did it. But it's because of the fact that he was saving people's lives. And the Canadian government did not like it. So he's been living in Amsterdam for years because of the fact that he can't even go to his home country in Canada because of the fact that they'll just throw him in jail. Even though they've now legalized cannabis in Canada, they still want him in jail. Because why? Because he woke you up to the fact of what was real. Yeah, I have a copy of that, John. I have not had a chance to read it yet. And I have the other one too, Baron's Underground Adventure. You know. So what I would suggest, Zach, is maybe to make this an open panel and let some of these other people who had success with cannabis maybe come up and share their stories with you and with the others and expand the conversation. I mean, I put 2 hours aside for this. I didn't realize we were going to actually use up all 2 hours. But yeah, I would drop the link in there and get a couple of these people up here that, you know, maybe it's your wife who uses it or your children, you know, because of seizures or something like that. The Wizard, he's another one. Come up and talk about your experience with cannabis and why it works for you. And the success that you've had with it, you know. This is the thing is, you know, I mean, I might be a cannabinoid brain, but sometimes getting the stories directly from the people themselves that this is affected is a great way to really enlighten people to the extent in which we could actually move this forward. But number one, I want to thank you, Zach, for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm glad you thought of me, absolutely. Can one of the mods go ahead and pin that link up there to the, actually, I'm a mod. I guess I could do that. No. Oh, we can't. You're the only one who can pin it up there, Zach. Yeah. Come on now. Don't be shy, people. Come up and have a conversation. Let's go. Because I got to drop out of here in a minute because I got a couple of things I got to do here at 3 o'clock. Yeah, that bot's gone. I got him. And with those, what you do is you don't bother doing hidden or hiding them or anything like that. What you do is you right click on them right away and report. And once you report at that point there, boom, they're taken completely out of the chat and they won't be able to type back in there again. Don't even mess with them. Well, see, Jerry, you should be up here talking about that instead of typing it in the chat. You should jump up here on the panel and hang out with Zach so that I can go back to work here and have somebody. Wiz, it'd be another good one. And we had a couple of growers that are in here too that could be beneficial as well. Go ahead, Zach.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Hawk. I really appreciate this.
Absolutely. You're my brother from another mother. Bert Gummer, he'd be a good one to get up here on your panel. He's a big grower You know, he could talk about the struggles that it took to go from being a medical farmer to being a recreational farmer, you know, and what it cost him, you know. And the thing is it's like when you understand their stories, you understand that it costs a lot more than money. You know, it costs a lot more, you know. You know, so all right, young man, I got to get to work. I got a bunch of stuff to do. I have plants that are actually being put in today. So you guys have a great afternoon. I will see you again. Come up here and take care of Zach and Jeremy. There you go. He's another guy, you know, works his butt off, and the only pain relief he gets is from his medical cannabis. So, you know, all right, guys, I'll talk to you soon, Zach. Love you, brother. All right.
Jeremy, my brother, get up here.
What's up, Zach? Just want to let you know, I seen some of your this debut, but I passed out, man. I had to take a nap, man. I passed out. I'm getting ready to make some supper though. I'm gonna make bacon and tomato sandwiches with some soup. Yeah, vegetable beef soup. I think that might hit the tummy. Hey, Caroline, how are you? Caroline. I can't read all that great. You tried napping twice with no luck? Yeah. Well, I can do it sometimes. Oh, man, my camera. Well, I got to fix that. Oh, no. Is it going? No, now it's back that way. Hold on, let me fix it like that. Ah, there we go. Hold on that way. And there's Mr. Ghetto. What's up, sir?
What's up, man? What's up, baby brother Zach?
Good to see you.
I ain't got nothing to say about the cannabis, man. I don't smoke it myself. I'm a huge advocate. Don't get me wrong, but it's not for everybody. We'll just put it like that. But I'm just here to help y'all with the conversation, keep it going until some more people come up here.
Awesome.
Don't be shy, y'all.
Yeah, don't nobody be shy. Y'all go ahead, come on up here, because I'm getting ready to go cook some dinner for myself, and then I'll see y'all tonight. Absolutely. But yeah, y'all don't be y'all getting a double dose today. You get Zach in the afternoon, and then you're gonna get me tonight. So I hear you. But Ghetto, see you later, man. Hey, had a good afternoon. Enjoy your dinner whenever you do have dinner. And channel chat. Yeah, go ahead, Zach. Go.
So I really enjoyed this podcast.
Good. Cool. Enjoyed it? Awesome. Great. Good.
Yeah, I
Good.
enjoyed it too, man. Most definitely.
That's
some
awesome.
good information.
Yeah, a lot. Absolutely. I'm glad you had a good time. But I'm going to hop off, Zach, so I can go cook dinner and do what I got to do. Maybe work on some of those models or whatever that I got today and everything. And I'll see all of y'all in a few hours. And God bless and have a great day. Bye.
He came, he sat, he left. What the hell? So since I'm anti-marijuana and this reefer madness is just crazy, I don't know if I can condone this stuff. It makes all the black people angry and rape white women. Makes all the Mexicans. Got him, brother. That right there, the reason why I said that, guys, if you don't already know, look up the laws on why they were made against marijuana. You'll already, I mean, just by looking at the reasons why the laws were made, you guys will understand that, man, it's some bullshit. Excuse my language, Mr. Zach, but it's straight bullshit, man. It is. They brought these into law for some crazy reasons. I'm a huge advocate. My wife needs it. My wife needs it to be able to not be on them nasty old pills. Right, Brian? We're losing viewers, man. You're going to have to take off your shirt or something. They want to see your 3 nipples. See, I ain't got nothing educational to have, man. I'm just going to end up joking and shit. Oh, he's already muted me, JoJo. He actually booted me from the panel as well. He likes doing that. I feel oppressed up here. It's messed up, man. Yeah, it's actually a good listen, Hudal. Hawk and him go into depth on why it's. I don't know how to articulate it well enough. Just go ahead and watch it, but um, they show the differences, show how much better CBD, THC, marijuana as a whole is better for us. Just, I mean, God created us to be able to use it as a medicine. I'm all for everything in moderation, though, Mr. Zach. You know, it's all about moderation because you could be addicted to marijuana just as bad as you are cigarettes or heroin or anything else, honestly. Just because your body doesn't react the same way off of, after you smoke for about a month or two and then you come off it, just because your body doesn't react as it would if it was pills or heroin or something like that, doesn't mean it ain't good for you. It's all about moderation. It's all about what takes away from God, if you ask me. And if we're just sitting there, high on no matter what it is, and it's actually taken away from our time, between us and our dad up there, then it's wrong. That's a drug, in my mind. Anyways. So it could be candy bars, it don't matter. All in moderation. But I think the goal is if you have problems like Zach or cancer or anything like that, it's a huge healing process. If it's not just healing, it'll help with whatever symptoms you have from whatever sickness or problems that you go through. I highly recommend smoking before drinking or popping anything.
Well, I'll close this out with a prayer and sign out with my introduction. Thank you all for coming and I love you all. Dear Lord, Thank you for letting us come together and learn more knowledge. Thank you for being the light for us to keep us going forward. I love you, my Lord. Amen.
Amen, brother. I appreciate it, man.
We need you now. We need you now. One day, one day, one day, I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get